Hello and welcome to Operation Podcast, where we dive into the rewarding yet challenging journey of fatherhood while balancing demanding careers. Join us as we share real stories, practical advice, and meaningful conversations about being present and an engaged father. Our guest today is Mr. Ryan. Ryan is a narcotics officer, a husband, and most importantly, a father of three, right?
Yeah.
3 kids.
Yep.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, dude.
What are their ages?
So my oldest she'll be 11 here. Second oldest, he will be 9 in June. And then youngest, right after the middle child, he's got a birthday in July. He'll be 5. So
July birthdays, man.
yeah,
I'm a July birthday too.
yeah.
Cancer, right?
Yes.
Are you a sign guy?
Not really.
I wasn't really either. I kind of got into it in a weird season of life.
Yeah.
Went down that path, and I thought it was kind of interesting. A narcotics officer.
Yeah.
Now, I bet there's going to be some people that they just don't know what that means.
Sure.
Can you unpack that?
Yeah, just kind of give a brief overview.
Well, how about we start with, so you graduated high school. Was law enforcement something always in the back of your mind?
It was actually my junior year. I did a ride along, just kind of nothing going on a Friday night, and did a ride along in my hometown. A lot smaller than this, probably about 30, 40,000 where I work now.
Sure.
As opposed to, where I work now, it's about 100 plus, so whatever it is, 130 now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, different. It was different, but it gave me some exposure. Just touching my toe in the water, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But at that time, I knew I was going to join the military, and it was just kind of like looking at my options. And then when I got out of the military, it was kind of like, oh yeah, I remember that one ride along, and kind of, went kind of hook, line, and sinker. And I had to go to college for it and stuff, and
Sure.
a little bit of process, but yeah. And then, so I've been doing that for 7 years now. So
Police officer for 7 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Here in this city.
No, here for going on 5. And then prior to that, it was about 7 years sworn. And then previously to that, I was working for a county agency. I did transports where I wasn't post-certified, if you will. So I wasn't a police officer.
Okay.
Doing transports between jails and stuff, in custodies to, jail and to court to, wherever, prison. And then after that, I got sworn in as a road deputy, and kind of where I started my career.
So these transports, are these like long distances between states or?
No, I'm sure there were. I never got any. I know I did mostly like the furthest I ever went was, I think Stillwater. Man, actually, I think they just closed their prison.
Okay.
Yeah. That's about as far as I went. Never out of state. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
But long enough where, did you have dialogue with these people or?
All the time. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you build a lot of rapport with them. And actually in hindsight, I've always been able to talk to pretty much anybody.
Right.
That gives a lot of people that's just tipping their toes in the waters of law enforcement. I think it's a good place to start because you're interacting with these hardened criminals and felons, convicted dudes, and just talking to them like normal people and having conversations. You can talk to pretty much anybody, right?
Yeah.
So it was interesting. But I had some military experience before that where it's like, that had nothing on doing transports. So it gives you a little perspective.
But and these people are newly incarcerated, have been incarcerated for a long time.
Yeah.
Both?
A little bit of both. Some have been incarcerated. Some are in jury trials that are jailed, getting transported to trial, or some contested hearing or whatever, right?
Sure.
So some are kind of on the outside, about to go to prison, or who knows? And then some have been in prison getting seen for a new case, and we're picking these guys up and bringing them to court and whatnot. So
it's got to be, I mean, people who are kind of fresh into that world, broken the law, or, I mean, I would assume all of them have broken the law in some degree, but they're probably just looking for someone to rap with on the way to the next phase of this experience. So you probably got to have some pretty authentic chats with these people, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember, because you have to stop. They have to go to the bathroom, and you hop out and, you shoot enough shit with them that, you're comfortable. They're not going to do anything squirrely. You can kind of feel them out and stuff. And kind of you get that through that dialogue you have when you're driving with them. And when you're putting waist restraints and ankle restraints on them and kind of talking to them, building that rapport. And you get some interesting conversations. So, yeah,
I mean, you're just there to do your job, take them from one place to another. You had no responsibility getting them there or anything else. So it's probably rapport built pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And military, you mentioned.
Yeah.
A military life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, did just under 5 years in the Marines. Joined in 2009. I did the delayed entry program stuff. Went in 03XX, which is active duty. You don't know your job. You're just going as open infantry contract. So did that. Went to boot camp, MCRD San Diego. Went home. Got the old recruiter's assistance. So got an extra week. And
awesome.
Went off to SOI and was out in Bravo Company at I think it's Area 52. I can't remember specific area.
Sure.
In Pendleton, just north of San Diego there. Randomly really didn't know anything about mortars, and I think the Pacific. I can't remember. There was a movie where I saw mortars in. And I think it was the Pacific, like Eugene Sledge, if you're familiar with.
Okay, yeah.
Like the Old Breed or Helmet for My Pillow, those kinds of books. Those dudes from World War II. But Eugene Sledge, and I want to say it was during that time. I think it came out. And so Eugene Sledge is a mortarman. I'm like, this is fascinating. I'm like, is this still a thing? And because I didn't know anything, you're 7. I think I turned 18 when I was there. And
18 while you were in basic?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, and
I went through basic with a few of those young guys
I knew
too.
Nothing, right? And I can't remember his name, but he was one of the SOI instructors, Sergeant. I remember the machine gun instructor, Sergeant Callahan, and I can't remember for the life of me my mortar instructor. But anyway, I picked up, had high enough GT score or whatever it was, and I got into the mortars, and so I did the 60s and 81s, all that stuff, and that's kind of was my entry into the Marine Corps, and then never actually shot them overseas or anything. Went to 1st Battalion, 3rd Marines, and Charlie Company, and we touched the 60 millimeter mortars from time to time, but really our mission was more cross training with the 31s, the machine gunners, the assaultmen that they shoot a small. It's like I don't know if you guys have anything like that in the Air Force. It's like a anti-tank weapon.
Oh, sure.
That's exclusive, I think, at the time to the Marine Corps. But so never really, never touched that. We did a lot of rifle stuff, machine guns. Then went to Afghanistan, and then my last deployment, I got wounded by an IED. So
you walked away, kind of a different person, huh?
Yeah, Today is my alive day. So I think we talked about that maybe a week ago. But gosh, I honestly couldn't even tell you how many years ago it's been now. It was 2011, so whatever, 14 years ago now.
Sure.
So, but
what's it like walking away from an injury like that?
Well, honestly, after it happened, we're kind of doing an exfil from, kind of, at the time, well, during that deployment, it was a lot of coin operations, counterinsurgency kind of stuff, right? So you're shaking hands, kissing babies kind of stuff, and not too kinetic at the time. And where we were at in Gormser, Afghanistan, there was a lot of IEDs, and obviously the Taliban were in the area and stuff, but we were coming back. IEDs were pretty prevalent, specifically pressure plate, like victim detonated. So one of us would have had to step on it, and I happened to step on one coming back from one of these villages. And yeah, couldn't tell you how big it was. It was this directional fragmentation charge with like a lot of ball bearings, stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it hit me. It's just a big old shotgun. And that was, lost consciousness for, I couldn't tell you how long. It wasn't long at all. I ended up in a wadi just off the path where we were at. And yeah, I got up, tried getting up, and, my whole left leg was just like hamburger meat,
Wow.
Tib fib were broke, and tried putting weight on it, and it kind of just collapsed in on itself, and put a tourniquet on, and, was feeling good at that time. And, that adrenaline and that stuff going on, you know how it goes, it wears away. And,
Yeah.
and then, oh God, that fucking hurts.
Oh my gosh.
And, and Aaron Frenchick, good buddy of mine, he, carried all my gear. And then they firemen's carried me, because at the time, why we were exfilling was a sandstorm was coming in, and I can't remember the verbiage. It was aircon black or red or somewhere in between there where nothing was flying, and we're out in the sticks, right?
How far away from your base?
Well, any immediate trauma care.
Mm-hmm.
I guess like battalion surgeons and stuff, which is funny, which I'll get to this. It's kind of, a blessing in disguise that this happened. But so Key Terrain 4 is what we were on. It was a remote operating base where we did a lot of surveillance stuff. And then we had our company base, and that really had low level medical, staff. I think we had corpsmen, and that was it.
Did you have a corpsman with you?
Yeah,
when
yeah,
this went
Doc
off?
White, yeah. And funny story about him, if you remind me later, great guy. But and I would suspect maybe like 30, 40 minutes away. It was Camp Dwyer. Okay. Was like the bigger base. So yeah, aircon black. I just got hit. I'm bleeding everywhere and stuff, right? And so they're getting me to a checkpoint where some MRAPs were going to pick me up, and vehicles, and they kind of leapfrogged me to our company base, and just so happens to be Doc Cornejo, the battalion surgeon, was there. And so without him being there, and the stars lining up, I'd probably say my likelihood of survival was pretty low. And just because I was bleeding out everywhere, I had so many, those directional fragmentation charges, or DFCs, right? They just packed full of ball bearings and stuff, just ripping right through you, making a bunch of holes. And so he's there, did some more higher level care with the tools that he had. Obviously, he's also a doctor, so
Yeah.
And stabilized me enough, and no helicopters were flying. That's kind of what we were just waiting on for hours. And I was kind of in and out of consciousness, and and then that created its own messes after I leave the company base after I was stabilized. And I don't recall. I'd have to ask Aaron or a couple of the other guys. They either hit an IED, were attacked in some fashion. I don't recall. But one of the MRAPs rolled over and went into a ditch that was in front of us, so we couldn't get around. And the next thing I remember, waking up, a Black Hawk finally landed, and I remember getting loaded into the Black Hawk, and then we were just felt like we were flying at light speed. And then I passed out and woke up in Bethesda, Maryland, at the Naval Hospital.
Really?
So glimpses of I remember somewhere in there. I don't know where I was. If I was at Bagram or something. Had a family friend of mine, Karina. Her dad was a warrant officer in the Army who just happened to be there at the same time, and I knew him. The only other thing I remember between that helicopter and going to DC was her dad came and saw me, and I was so out of it. I remember that moment, and then passing back out from whatever, right, the
Wow.
the ketamine, whatever else they have you on.
Oh, they probably gave you everything they had.
Yeah. And and actually what sucked the worst is I felt like I was suffocating, so I had a pneumothorax. And I remember feeling my throat like after I got hit, and it was offset. And I remember we had some combat lifesaver stuff, right? That little bit of training they give you. I'm like, oh fuck, And so that actually sucks. I felt like I was suffocating, and that was probably the worst part of it. And like the leg was hurting, and I had some shrapnel on my chest and stuff. But yeah, and then from then on, it was getting better. A bunch of surgeries, Bethesda, and I got stable enough. I got flown closer to home in Iowa, and so that was injured in May, and then not a full recovery, but enough to where October of that year, same year, they flew me back out to Hawaii to be with my guys.
Wow.
So, yeah.
How did you get from Maryland to Iowa?
They fly you.
A military aircraft?
No, it was some kind of private jet with
A small one? With props?
Very small. Yep.
C-21-ish?
Something like that. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it civilians that flew you or military?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So my dad got to come with me, and then it was me on it. And I want to say there's a nurse paramedic duo, maybe.
Sure.
And 2 pilots. And landed in Minneapolis. Actually went to the VA in Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah.
They have like an active duty for whatever floor that is, the 4th, 5th floor there. And and then that was getting IVs taken out, getting ambulatory, and working on that was more physical therapy kind of stuff, and just getting better. I was young, I was 21, and so I healed pretty quick.
Yeah.
At least I thought. And and then aches and pains here and there, and went back to did a little convalescence leave back at my parents' place in Iowa, and then flew back out to Hawaii. So
wow.
Yeah.
I love hearing those. I love hearing your side of the story, from injury to being back home and care, because like our teams, when you said Bagram earlier, that makes sense to me. At the time, because air evac, those are the fixed wing teams that fly you country to country and then back to the States.
Yeah.
So it would have been one of our AE teams to fly you back.
Yeah.
And the patients that I've seen that we've flown back, we don't get much follow up.
Yeah.
Like we don't know what happens to them. So it's refreshing to hear your story. It sounds like you hopefully had a good experience. You were probably passed out most of the
Don't
time.
remember
So
a thing.
it's probably the best experience you could ever have.
Which is funny. So a guy that Staff Sergeant Allen, staff sergeant at the time, good buddy of mine. He's actually in the Air Force now. He's a commissioned officer. And I don't know exactly what his responsibility was. It was just some billet he had for however long. He would escort these Marines and like help with patient care or transition or something like that.
Okay.
And I didn't know him at the time, but he actually took a picture. I'll show you later. And he remembered me. He was on one of those flights.
Oh, no way.
And and so it's kind of funny. You see me down there just passed out, and just look like a little victim, because I had lost a bunch of weight and looked tiny. And you're over in Afghanistan, so you lose weight anyway. But so
That's cool.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Seeing your guys for the first time Hickam or close near there? We're in Hawaii.
Kaneohe Bay.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of northeast part of the island, across the.
We talked
Yeah.
about this, I think. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it seeing them?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, of course they were. I've been keeping in touch with them. We had sat phones and stuff, so they'd call me when I got a phone finally, and just updating me on stuff going on. And yeah, they're pretty torn up. And the first time I remember talking to them, I don't remember what was said, 'cause I was in Bethesda still narked up, but I remember I got a call to the hospital phone, and they somehow got a hold of me through that. And I'm talking to them, and they heard stories like I lost my legs, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and it's par for the course, because guys we've had, and there's many OAF guys, like IEDs, you're losing legs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I did not. Could have lost my left leg, but they did a lot of that experience built over 10 years of war with trauma surgery and stuff. They did a bunch of cool stuff like
Sure.
grafts, fasciotomies.
They're pretty tip of the spear.
Yeah,
Those folks.
Yeah. So yeah, fortunately, the only thing I have now is some foot drop in my left foot.
Okay.
Which I put a brace on, and I can run a marathon. So.
Leg only thing that injured? Was there some residual?
Yeah.
Said ball bearings, right? Those things probably.
Yeah. I broke my radius in my arm. One of my fingers in my left hand. I had some burns kind of on my face and neck, which were, nothing to write home about. It was, I honestly didn't even know I had them till, it was more of my leg, and then I had shrapnel go through my throat, so I had to do a lot of ENT stuff.
Sure.
I couldn't have food couldn't even remember how long.
Wow.
They had to put scopes down there to see if it healed before I could have food and stuff. And those are kind of the injuries, like the lesser of the, leg and, the lungs and my arm. So.
Do you keep records of this stuff? Pictures, things that you can kind of go, I'm sure there's parts
yeah,
of it you just probably
my
don't
mom
want
and
to
dad
remember,
did,
right?
Yeah, I got some of that stuff. Which is funny. I went to an appointment the other day at OMC, and I don't know if the VA has like Epic or whatever that program they can send records from hospital to hospital. And they just seeing all that stuff I hadn't seen in a while. I was sitting down because I have a surgery coming up, and I was sitting down talking to the pre-op people, and they have all my stuff from the military, like from when I got in, and we're just going through it, like X-rays of my leg and CT scan. So it's kind of cool.
Wow.
I honestly hadn't seen most of this stuff, and but yeah,
This was recently?
yeah, just last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is nostalgia the right word?
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it seems like a lifetime ago. Because I live a vastly different life now than I did before. And so I think it's safe to say it was a lifetime ago. But yeah, I was just a kid, early 20s. And, and I honestly, I have no PTSD from it. It's,
Sure.
It is what it is. But yeah, I'd say nostalgia is, it's probably a good word for it. Yeah.
Yeah, vastly different life now, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So the stress of kids doesn't even touch what you've already gone through?
No. Yeah, no. Parenting's probably pretty easy. Yeah. Yeah. It's, first kid was kind of a eye-opening. But once you figure out the first couple months, it was pretty easy. And my oldest is going into 6th grade now. So it's kind of gets easier, but then gets difficult in its own respects.
Sure.
But it's a lot of.
Yeah, you're in a couple different seasons of life.
Yeah.
With your kids, right? So I'm in the toddler phase right now.
Mm-hmm.
when kids start to get older, they move into going to school, all that stuff, does all those memories kind of fade, and now you're just kind of living in the moment of what phase they're in now? Or
Yeah, as in respects to my own life?
Yeah.
I don't, you're so busy. You've got, sports with the older two, the younger one's just getting into them. Yeah, you're so busy, you lose track of time, and it's just a blur, I was just talking about this with my wife the other day, and I'm sure everybody has the same perception of it, but it felt like my daughter was literally in kindergarten the other day, and we're so busy with, our lives, work, kids' lives, that it's just, time flies. And, before you know it, you'll be out of the house, and, you felt like, you don't have enough time with your kids, and it kind of sucks. So.
Yeah, I hear that. That's the common theme.
Yeah.
Man, that's the common theme.
Yeah.
So, but, you got a whole bunch of stuff going. Your kids are just running around doing all this stuff. You're working as a narcotics officer.
Yep.
What does your week look like? How do you
it's sporadic. We have banker hours, but on paper,
Sure.
And so, and I'm sure those that know narcotics, you have informants, and if drugs are coming from wherever, Chicago, Texas, wherever, right? And, there goes your night, maybe, right? If you're going to try and interdict this person or do some surveillance or whatever that is, right? That's just kind of I guess an example of, you're not, you're kind of always on call kind of thing, but it's proactive. So it's what you put into it.
Wow. Yeah. So you said banker hours, but are there times when it's after hours, things you have to go in as a team?
Yeah. Yep.
Tell me about those situations.
I guess it's more recently. I mean, we had a guy doing a bunch of burglaries. We focus mainly on narcotics, but we also double as an apprehension team.
Sure.
We're pretty good at doing surveillance and plainclothes kind of stuff. And, we have our own techniques and procedures that we can, kind of jack of all trades thing. And, and this person, was doing a lot of stuff at night. We would get up, and there were some late nights, watching this person and doing a lot of that kind of crazy stuff.
Oh man. Stuff that maybe second nature to you, huh? Picked up while in the Marines.
Yeah. Some of the surveillance stuff. Yeah, for sure. Some stuff I didn't really know, until I got back to this unit, that, there's some things I didn't know that were possible, that feasible, but it's kind of cool how a lot of the technology and stuff's advanced, and, it's not like you see on TV, obviously. And, it's not as, it's also bureaucratic with working in government. There's legal processes and,
yeah, man, do I know,
working around other people's schedules to accomplish that don't work in our field. Second nature in some aspects, and, I'm still learning. So, a lot of stuff to learn, a lot of stuff to get better at.
What about like social media? What kind of footprint does people's social lives, internet social lives have, and apprehension and all that stuff?
Yeah. I mean, a lot, really. I guess more so, obviously your Facebooks, your Instagrams, all that stuff. None of that stuff really goes away. Right. So, but you dump somebody's phone or whatever. You can see a lot of the context, the contents, of those kind of conversations they're having, places they've been, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Man, the surveillance part has to be pretty gnarly.
Yeah. And it's a lot of, there's a lot of electronic surveillance to it. And obviously a lot of physical surveillance where you have an eyeball or eye on the person, and it's just, and maybe that's like in the movies where you're following them, but there's a method to the madness to where you're not detected.
Sure.
And so that's my favorite part of it, is the physical surveillance of it. Especially with, those targets that are new to you, that say you just did a controlled buy and a person that was not known to you at the time shows up, and, intelligence gathering at that point is paramount. So like, what are you going to do? You have physical surveillance, right? And so the team surveils them back to maybe a house,
wow,
wherever and whatnot. And, as we call it, landing them at some kind of location that, builds your investigation even further. So,
sure.
And ideally, the pinnacle is taking these low-level dealers all the way to the cartel somehow. And, that's the jewel on top, right? But, it takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. And some of these cases can go for months, years, just developing that stuff. So
what's the ratio of these low-level dealers acting as informants?
The ratio? Oh, I couldn't tell you a ratio. My experience, I'd say for, as in cases we build on people who were arrested, and we try to flip as informants. In my experience, I would say, I just spitballing, I'd say for every maybe 5 arrests, you get 1 informant, and there's factors to that, right? 'Cause then they're working off their own stuff, and, maybe they're going to go to prison. So there's some incentive, that they get to working and cooperating with law enforcement. So
is protection part of that?
As in for them being discovered?
Right.
Yeah. And that's their safety is actually paramount. We take that highly into consideration. But yeah, it's keeping them confidential is what we strive for. Mm-hmm, and there's methods and stuff we do to do that. But at the end of the day, they still get found out by running their mouths and stuff. So
yeah, man.
Loose lips sink ships, right?
They sure do. Hey, tell me about what we're sipping on here.
So this is a full proof, and I just was introduced to this. 1792 bourbon. It's obviously Kentucky straight. 125 proof.
It's delicious.
So it's delicious, but it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Yeah. My neighbor could tell you about that. This is actually, I bought 2 bottles because I wouldn't say they're rare. In my experience, I've never been able to find one. And a guy I know who runs a booze store has been keeping his eyes out for it. And so I got 2 of them. And my neighbor, Friday, we're sipping on it like we are right now, but it was going down too smooth for him, and he did not have a good morning. Or night. Yeah. He had to call it an early night, like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, it's good. Well, if there's ever a world where someone from Foolproof is listening, go ahead and give us a shout. We'll talk about your bourbon for hours.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, this stuff's real good. I like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I got started on Woodford. That was kind of my and then Buffalo Trace, which I don't know what the whole rave is about that. It's it's not that good, personally.
Sure.
So, not to mention if they want to be a sponsor,
then they're delicious.
I'll still drink.
Yeah, no, it's good. Maybe this will be a theme. I'm sure, you and I know, maybe some of the listeners know. This is something brand new.
Yeah.
We're not recreating the wheel here in the saturated world of podcasts, but maybe we can make this a theme where
For sure.
the host and the guest can share a glass sipping on something.
Yeah.
But I like it so far.
Yeah.
It's real nice.
Oh, it's good. It's good.
So working with informants, working as a narcotics officer, all this time you had overseas in Afghanistan, how does that all translate into parenting? What have you been able to take from those two worlds into the world of parenting now?
I guess for my time in the Marine Corps, just dealing with those junior Marines, that those 17, 18, 19-year-olds
Sure.
that don't know anything. I was in their position, and I wasn't too much older than them when you get put in like a leadership position, right? And it's always it doesn't pay to be a dickhead, explaining things calmly.
Yeah.
Definitely builds. It fosters a team mentality. There's time and place to be a dickhead, right? But and you kind of learn that as from your parents, and then my leadership, which I had great leadership when I was in the Marines. But you come across people that don't know how to handle stress, and they feel entitled to leadership. And I think some of that kind of translates to being a parent, having that calm demeanor, explaining things. And my kids will tell you, there's some times that I've gotten upset when, for like tonight, I didn't get like blow up on them. But there's some learning that needed to be had there.
Sure. Some lessons to be learned.
Yeah. And then obviously same thing in law enforcement. It doesn't really pay to be an asshole. I'm a huge reader of Marcus Aurelius, if you're into Stoicism and stuff
tell me
like
more.
that. So, what's that?
Tell me more. I'm unfamiliar with his work.
Are you familiar with Stoicism at all?
A little bit, yes.
Yeah. I have a copy for you. It's Meditations of Marcus Aurelius.
Oh, yeah.
Great guy, Emperor of Rome, had all the power in the world, and was a humble, stoic guy, right?
Sure.
Embodied
Hence the title.
stoicism. Yeah. But it's basically, I guess, a core tenet, just to not to dive too deep into the weeds, is controlling what you can control, right? Responding to your environment. Because one thing you can control is your emotions and how you react, right? And that's kind of a big thing I took away from that is, and it's about bettering yourself and bettering your environment around you. And I try to take some of that, and I got into that reading that when I was wounded, and I can't remember who got me into that. It was like some nurse. I just remember I had this book. It was Meditations of Marcus Aurelius, and really dove into that, and it was cool because historically speaking, when I was reading it, I didn't know you've seen the movie Gladiator, right?
Yes.
So he's the emperor at the beginning of that. One of my favorite movies of all time. So there's probably some nostalgia in there for me when I was reading that for the first time. I was like, man, that's that guy. And, whether or not he was historically portrayed in that is, a moot point. But, but seeing these and understanding the historical context, like he wrote that, he didn't write the book. He had notes. It was a collection of notes that weren't meant to be seen for the public. And then after he passed, they were kind of collected together, and through the ages have continued to, inspire and give somebody some kind of, lessons and how to live.
Sure. Or how to parent.
That too. So, yeah. So I guess long-winded. Yeah. That's kind of how I meshed that together.
Oh, that's cool.
Became the guy I am and try to be a good parent, I guess.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. That's, I'm sure that comes down with some great lessons.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You get a lot of time. You said earlier you worked normal hours. What is that, like a 9 to 5? You get time to be home with them?
What's that?
You get time to be home with them throughout the week?
Yeah. I mean, it's not constantly crazy. There are times in the summers where, summers in the Midwest are people are out and about doing criminal shit.
Yeah.
And so it gets a little more busy. But our leadership's pretty good about giving us time off and flexing hours. Like if we worked a long night, we're not expected to come in, the next day.
Sure.
Or, hey, take a long weekend kind of thing. And because it grinds on you. Yeah. And family time's huge. But and I'd say half, maybe a little over that. Well, we're home for dinner and stuff. And then stuff gets spun up at night in a sense of like what I said earlier, somebody's tripping, or we have to go surveil somebody, or, some guy who's involved in a shooting, who's a priority suspect he's here. So we have to go apprehend him, or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're kind of at the beck and call of our leadership, and most of the time it comes from us. Like we want to go do God's work, and, motivated to spend a few 5, 6, 7 hours at night to go get these shitheads off the street. So, yeah.
Well, you come home from something like that. I mean, are you still on that high, or how do you kind of digest all that before walking through the door?
I kind of just, I'm sure a bunch of people can relate. I just turn it off. Like I'm just dad. I don't really, kind of something I learned in the Marines. It's like, hey, relax, chill out.
Yeah.
Drop your shit. Like I take all my stuff. I have a little locker storage room. All my stuff goes in there, and it's isolated for me. My radio, all my equipment and stuff.
This is at work, or this is at your house?
At home. Yeah.
Okay.
And so yeah, once that's in there, I kind of just go shower, put what I'm wearing on right now, and just kind of just chill and hang out with the kids, watch a movie with the wife, and kind of just that's it. Maybe talk a little bit about what happened at work with the wife, and that's really it. So just kind of compartmentalizing stuff, and which is good and not good sometimes. Obviously, you gotta talking about it with my wife or guys at work and stuff. Obviously helps.
I didn't know how much to share with her.
How to know how much to share?
Yeah, like how gruesome do you get? How articulate?
Is
there a line that you found where it's just like, I'm going to keep this one close to the vest?
Yeah, my wife was an ER nurse.
Okay, she's seen it.
There's no filter. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, she gets a picture of it kind of from a different lens, but
yeah,
I suppose you can kind of just
nothing's really too sanitized as long as the kids aren't awake, and
sure,
we're just sitting out watching TV, and
it's a good way to describe it.
Yeah. So,
do your kids know? I mean, they must have a sense of the people, the demographic that you work with. I'm sure some of that disciplinary action can be found pretty quickly at home. Kids cross the line and they get to a different level with you, or you just have found that complete shut off where none of that enters your home.
Yeah, none of that really. I don't treat my kids like felons. So I'm sure there's some cuts.
That's what I was asking. I didn't know how direct to ask it.
I know some guys out there that in law enforcement may do that. Total shut off, hugs, kisses, tuck them in, read books, talk about teachable moments, with a firm voice sometimes, but
how do you know?
Not like a felon.
Sure. Those teachable moments.
Yeah.
How do you know what's appropriate for which stage of life? Is that just kind of something that you inherently...
You feel it out. Each of my kids is different in their own ways. My daughter, the oldest, she's obviously at a maturity level now that's middle school age, so we can have those heart-to-hearts and talk about, ethical things, right? And being a leader and stuff. And then the boys are, they're knuckleheads, they, they don't think much past of when am I not grounded kind of thing, right? And it's, what can I do to not be grounded? And it's like, well, you're missing the point here. This is why you're grounded.
Right.
You just want the punishment, not the behavior correction, right? And so the boys have a little bit more time, a little harder time of me explaining things to them. And then there's moments with those two that I get frustrated, but you really try hard not to, because you want them, you don't want to ruin that trust of them telling you when they've messed up. And, and my middle child's kind of at the point now where if he just done something bad, we've built that trust where, like, if you just tell me, we can talk about it. And if I find out and and we treat it as a lie or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can try to instill those values into him of what's right and wrong. And he's at that point where he gets that. And so we kind of have deeper conversations about that. And, but he's a good kid. And then my 4-year-old's just a 4-year-old. So it's kind of, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And get to that stage where maybe we can start explaining more stuff to him. Like, hey, this is why we don't do that. And which we do, but he's a knucklehead toddler. That's just, I want to play trucks and, the sandbox and ride my tractor and bike and, whatever. He's also the youngest, so he gets treated a little different. He's our last. So he's the baby.
You said your middle boy's a wrestler?
Yeah. Yep.
Are there moments where sometimes the words just aren't enough and you got to do a single, do a double, do an arm bar?
Not yet.
Hey, we're joking to those listeners that took us seriously. We do not beat children.
Yeah, we'll save that.
Sometimes you just take him on the wrestling mat.
Yeah. We'll save that till he's older.
You wrestled too, didn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Wrestled, pretty much my whole life. Probably I was 6 or 7 when I started, and all the way up till I graduated. So.
Out of Iowa.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. If there's one thing I learned, you don't mess with Dan Gable State.
Yeah. It was cool. My high school coach, Bruce, he knows Dan Gable. So it was cool. So like our summer camps we'd have at our high school, like all the way from when I was middle school to graduating, we'd have our 2-week summer camps. Yeah. And Dan Gable would always show up, and it was just like,
that's cool.
God, so cool. And spend a few days with him, just jaw jacking and getting hazed by him, and but also listening, because he knows, he obviously knows his stuff. So it was cool having that kind of dude, in the wrestling room, and spending that time with him. And I know a lot of people around the country don't get that experience, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. My coach was a big Gable fan as well. Yeah. So quotes pretty much all around the wrestling room. Yeah, he's got a good book too. I read a book a couple years ago. I think it was on my last deployment. Boy, I couldn't tell you the title of it, but it was an audiobook. I'm more of an audiobook guy.
Okay.
I don't really have the patience to sit down and read a book yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll come, but he narrates it.
Really?
Yeah. So it's
I didn't even know he wrote a book. I'm sure he
may have written a couple.
He might have. Yeah. Yeah.
But I love those books where the author is the narrator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Huge fan.
Yeah. I'd have to. Yeah. I'm just getting into audiobooks. I'm like in the car a lot now.
Sure.
I try to read when I'm home, but.
Are you a fiction or nonfiction book listener?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
I love historical stuff, like of the old breed, Helmet for My Pillow.
Sure.
Those World War II kind of. I'm kind of all over the place. But my favorite, like a huge Lord of the Rings nerd, like love the books.
Yeah.
Love The Hobbit, love the trilogy. That's kind of where some of my first big books I read were those.
It's a good story.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to, my daughter so it was her bedtime stories a couple years ago. I'd read a couple chapters at night.
Sure.
And I think it's a great, there's a lot of morality in there and stuff, and ethical things. And I think kind of shaped me as a kid. as well as many other things. But and then of course we watch the movies after, and kind of like, hey, this is here's what didn't make it in the movie.
Okay, so books before the movie.
Books or the movie?
No. You read the books and then you went to see the movies.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Was she excited, disappointed?
Oh, she's sure as much as when I was a kid. I like the movies better than the books, but as an adult now, it's like, I like the book better, and but the movies are great. She loved them, and it's, I don't know. They both have a place in my heart, but,
Yeah. Well, when it comes to those school book reports, right, you always kind of fib a little bit and say, "Oh yeah, I read that book." But
yeah, of course.
No. I watched To Kill a Mockingbird 3 times to crush that book report.
Never. Yeah. Well, Spark Notes was huge back when I was in high school, and God, it was Mr. Bates. He's like my sophomore English teacher, and I think we read To Kill a Mockingbird, and I didn't read it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna go Spark Note that. A paragraph summary of every chapter.
Oh my gosh!
Well, because and it was one thing making me read it, and like I liked reading, but it needed to be something I was interested in.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's like that with everybody. And there's a lot of books. I think the only book I really totally read that was assigned to me in high school was Forrest Gump.
Oh,
that was it.
That's one of those rare cases where the movie is quite better than the
I would
book.
agree. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Yeah. And obviously I'd seen the movie before reading it. And maybe that combo was like, yeah, I'll read the book. This is interesting now because I've seen the movie. Mm-hmm. And, that's legitimately probably the only assigned book to me I read. Everything else was Spark Noted or, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Lessons learned, huh?
Yeah.
From the moment that earlier you kind of talked about your first kid, kind of learn along the way, just like we all do.
Mm-hmm.
How about your lens on your priorities between your work balance, the time you wanted to spend at home? Now you have a second kid, a third kid. Does that evolve? Does that change as time goes on?
Yeah. As it with how I prioritize my
just kind of how you prioritize it, how important your time is to you now.
Yeah, it's super important. I think having more kids, now you need a lot more free time to get that one-on-one with those kids. Mm-hmm. And working crappy hours some days kind of, you feel guilt. But I try to make up for it.
Yeah.
Whether that's getting the kids up, like this morning I made pancakes and having that time with them, and going for walks, talking to the kids, and days I get off early, I always make the kids go for a walk with me if it's nice out.
Yeah.
Spring, summer, fall kind of thing. We just decompress. I want to hear about their day, and it's just some one-on-one time. It's usually the older two with me, and we talk about, because I always tell them like, hey, every day you got to tell me one thing you've learned at school.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
And have my daughter go first, obviously, and we'll talk about it for a little bit, and then my son, and and they can never tell me that they learned nothing because they're not trying, or they need to really dig deep into their memory of the day, and to the point, like, and I've talked to my daughter about it. She's a little more mature, and we talk about like we're not perfect. We at the end of the day we should think about, even as adults, like what could I have done better today that tomorrow I can crush it, or work on getting there to crush it or do better at. And that's kind of the point of it. We can always do better, and it's kind of a good mindset. Try to have a good mindset of doing that.
Yeah, it sounds like you're actively practicing efforts of humility. Mm-hmm. Like if you haven't learned anything, then you weren't listening.
Yeah, and humility is a huge thing. And oh God, I don't know if it was Marcus Aurelius or if it was, a big quote to me is, I'm the smartest man in the world, for that is I know one thing, and that is I know nothing. Right.
Oh,
and I think that's a good approach to have.
I've heard that. I just didn't know. Now I know the source where it came from.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of stuck with me for a long time. And I try to do better. Everybody's going to have those days where it sucks, but you should have a good positive mindset, outlook on life, do better, and try to meditate on it at the end of the day, and next day is a new day.
I love that, man. I love that. Something I'm doing with all the guests, I say all the guests, as guests come on the show and as we start ending episodes, is we've got people from all seasons of life, hopefully listening. Obviously our target audience is fathers. So we have dads from all sorts of experience to aspiring dads.
Yeah.
But if you could speak to the masses of those people, what would be one piece of advice that you'd want to give them?
For being good dads?
Yeah.
I guess, trying to be funny, don't treat your kids like felons. But no, breaking it down, over the years, if you have daughters and sons, you love your daughters more or differently than the boys, right? And they're more sensitive. Be that model for your daughter that you want maybe their husband someday to be, and vice versa. Have your boys treat obviously people and women the same way. Be a good dad, role model for them, to be good young gentlemen someday. Really take time to talk to your kids. And I end of the day, I try in my own way, I try to explain things to them and do better about that. And just foster those good relationships, spend time with them, really talk to them. Don't just listen, hear what they have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of forces of evil trying to capture their attention.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's like everybody says, right? It takes a village. Hopefully good people find good people, and these kids are raised by a community. And
as I'm learning with my daughter, and which is common sense, but you don't really think about it until it happens, is the people they hang out with, the peers. And conversation I had with my daughter tonight, and I was really trying not to get upset with her. But we've talked about it thousands of times, as being a leader, right? And knowing when something's wrong or your friends are making poor decisions. It takes a lot, especially in our societies, friend groups and whatever, right? To say something to your friends that, is in disagreement with what they're doing. And, but it takes a leader, and we talked about that tonight. And, it's hard to manage who your friends or who your kids are friends with.
Yeah.
And you just hope. And some of our friends, they're good kids, but they make poor decisions.
Sure.
And maybe their moms and dads
this is a conversation you had
and
just before coming over here.
Just before I came over.
Your boots on the ground, man. You're living it right now.
Yeah. So I was 10 minutes late. We had to have a heart-to-heart. So, and then go apologize. I had to walk her over and apologize and explain herself. And anyway,
sure.
You know how it goes. So, yeah.
Good for you. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming over here, man.
Of course, dude. Anytime.
Dude, I appreciate you walking the block over here to chat with
forever. Me. Yeah. Did you give me a hotel?
For those listening, we're recording this in my garage, so sipping whiskey and chatting in the garage, just like dads should do, right?
That's right, dude.
Thanks again, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate the chat.
Anytime.